Agriculture as a major mainstay for any economy offers multiple and manifold benefits that can impact both on the economic output as well as a country's brand. The moment policy and private players, as a matter of fact, begin to align in the agri-value chain, the opportunity in wealth creation will definitely be enormous. Welcome. This is Business Matters. My name is Stephen Ipalabo Lawson. The impact of agriculture in any economy is huge and diverse. In job creation, in security, in other aspects, this is the world what agriculture can offer. But then, let us have our business update. Distinguish themselves, especially when it has to do with issue of innovation as well as creativity, will definitely help us understand the different ideas and principles we can definitely accept to make our businesses very, very prosperous. This is our business professional segment. Please stay tuned. Joining me in the studio to explore the topic, digitalization of agriculture, a tool for economic growth in Nigeria, is no other person than a young man who is very passionate about this same topic, especially when it comes to the issue of digitalization. He's a consummate venture capitalist and a man who definitely has looked at an aspect where businesses can help to create competitive advantages for their own engagement. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Axon Holdings, a diversified business holding company. And of course, he has a bachelor's in pharmacy as well as a master's in managerial psychology. He's an Akumen partner and a member of several professional bodies. Help me as I make welcome Victor Benga Afolabi. How are you, Victor?
Thank you very much, and I'm good, and thanks for having me on your program.
Great. Business Matter is Nigeria's foremost business platform that helps us to cross-fertilize ideas and concepts and case study, especially with people like yourself who have those experiences where other people can definitely learn from. And we realized that because of the COVID pandemic, we're having a Zoom engagement. And how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, the world is changing. And it's good that we're learning new competencies and of the way to be able to survive in the new normal.
Great. You're a man who definitely has experience, especially when it has to do with market access and in the area of innovation in agriculture. And this particular period of time is a crisis-ridden season that we're all faced with. You begin to wonder, could it be that agriculture is actually a way for us to be able to survive and thrive within this very challenging period?
Yeah, it's not that we should wonder. In actual fact, agriculture remains to a large extent the only mainstay that will help this country to navigate out of the difficult and precarious times it finds itself. When we begin to look at the statistics of what agriculture has even done and its contribution before COVID and what is forecasted after COVID, you will understand that agriculture is critical to the long-term survival of even Nigeria as an entity. Looking at Business Day's review of yesterday, and I found it quite fascinating, where it was talking about the relevance of agriculture and why fixing that critical economic part of agriculture is critical. We'll come to understand the importance of why we need to focus on agriculture. When we look at its contribution to us in 2019, for example, agriculture contributed in 2019 to about 22% of the total GDP.
Wow.
And when you look at the GDP of the whole country, agriculture contributing 22%, not only does it contribute 22%, it employs 70% of the Nigerian population. when you look at the rural, 50% of rural population actually engage in agriculture. It gives you a clear description of how much agriculture is critical to our economy.
Now, if you look at that figure, Benga, it's very impressive, as a matter of fact. And this is an area in the sense that the value chain of agriculture has not been explored to the extent whereby we know that from agri-allied industry, from the outshoot of even the basic agriculture that we know, do you see a situation if government policy as well as entrepreneurship aligns, agriculture can command up to 50% of our GDP?
Okay, yeah, it should contribute up to 50% of our GDP, and it's possible. There are economies where the mainstay of the economy is really agriculture, and why else do I think it can contribute? When you look at the total landmass of Nigeria, we're talking about 923, almost 923 million square miles of the total landmass of Nigeria. The part of that, when you look at it in hectares, it's about 92 million hectares of land in Nigeria. Out of this 92 million, 82 million hectares is arable land.
My.
In Nigeria. It's arable land, which means it can be used for agriculture, can be used to sustain the economy and sustain the people in the land. However, out of this 82 million, only 32 million hectares is cultivated, and majorly by smallholder farmers. So when we talk about can it become 50% of the GDP, oh yes, the potential is there, the resource is there, everything that we need to make Nigeria a mainstay agrarian economy that is able to even earn the foreign exchange and be able to sustain the economy and drive even the growth of the economy is there. Because if what we have currently, and food sufficiency is one of the, security is one of the critical concerns of what COVID has brought into play, but thinking about just 32 million hectares is what we have cultivated out of 82 million, and that has kept us this far. It gives you an idea of if we're able to first digitalize what we have and even cultivate more of the arable land, it tells you what the potential is for agriculture and the value it can bring to the table in terms of GDP.
Now that's great, because you actually took the word from my mouth in terms of the digitalization of the agriculture. I'm even looking at it with regards to the value chain that agriculture as a sector of the economy obviously offers. In that sense, if we're able to leverage on the digitalization and what digital platforms offers to us, we should be able to cultivate even much more than what we have. As a matter of fact, a lot of what we even invest goes to waste. So when we imagine how will digitization of that sector help us to be able to maximize all those resources that we have?
Yeah, so why are we worried about food sufficiency and food security today? Why are we so scared that we could have productivity of commodities is being forecasted to reduce by about 47.5% this year because of the impact of COVID? It's because to a large extent we have not embraced the practices, agricultural practices, and the systems that will ensure that we have food security, food sufficiency, and that we move from that to be able to ensure that we have an economy that is driven and sustained mainly by agriculture. But you talked about the word digitalization, and it's good especially because of our viewers to understand when we talk about digitalization, what exactly does it bring to the table, when we look at in 2011 alone globally, digitalization of agriculture added $193 billion to the world economic output, creating 6 million jobs globally in 2011. By just moving from normal practices and bringing innovation to create a catalyst to improve productivity, remove impediments across the whole value chain, 6 million jobs were created.
Wow.
Part of the Middle East and North Africa. It brought about $16.5 billion improved output, and about 300 to 500,000 new jobs were created in the same year. And this is data showing us what is possible when we embrace a different way in which our agricultural business model is being carried out.
Now, when you talk about data, we know that data has become the new oil. The world itself obviously have looked at how data can be mined in order for us to be able to synthesize different models that can help us to be able to create solutions with regards to market access, with regards to finance, with regards to that. Do you see that correlation in terms of data mining and data optimization towards improving our export market so that we can gain in terms of foreign exchange as an economic bloc that Nigeria is?
Oh, data is critical. And you actually are not able to achieve a lot without having data. It is this data that allows us to be able to, it becomes the major bedrock for which you build what is called precision farming, which is the way farming is done globally now. Without data, which is the crucial ingredient that brings together all the information across the value chain and in the ecosystem, you will not be able to form the bedrock of what allows you to do precision farming. And precision farming is what is able to give you a predictive outcome, and you're able to a large extent, predict what your productivity is likely to be based on the set of practice. So yes, data is it. And when you look from it, when you look at it from across the value chain, the first thing you need to look at is what are the kind of data that we have to support the farming and the farming practices. When we talk about data today, I teach quite a number of them. We walk around the field projects and agriculture, and I said, what you keep telling everybody is, oh, go into farming, go into farming. And the question most people ask is, I have no information. Where's the land? So what if you look at, for example, the kind of land that is in Lagos, for example, you ask yourself, if I want to start a particular kind of agriculture, where is the land available? What land is earmarked for agricultural use? What land is arable? What are the policies, the rules that govern such kind? That is where your data is starting from. Okay, you cannot do an actual, analysis of the risk involved if you want to bankroll an agricultural investment. If you don't have the right data sets, you can't forecast what, and you can't de-risk that particular project. So these are the critical things that are missing. The missing parts of in the ecosystem that makes our agriculture to still be in, to a large extent, I would say, a very remote way of doing things. And we find that to a large extent, major contributors there are actually the smallholder farmers. And digitalization can do a lot to transform this.
That is interesting, because while you were explaining all of this with regards to the ecosystem, one of the thoughts that jumps into my mind is several things that agriculture itself seems to offer. But we are going to go on a short break. As soon as we're back, I'm going to be asking you my next question.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G. Entel. Live more.
Thank you. If you just joined us, this is Business Matters, and we've been looking at a wonderful topic, which is digitization of agriculture, a tool for economic growth in Nigeria. And joining me in the studio is Victor Benga Afolabi. He's, as a matter of fact, the founder of the Co-Innovation Center. The question I wanted to ask you before we went on a short break has one that has to do with opportunities. Because Business Matters, what we try to do, as much as we have digitalized our own systems and our own engagement, is also to throw more light on the different areas that Agric offers in terms of opportunities for investment. And you've mentioned one of the key areas, which data itself brings about. But I'm beginning to wonder, where does the role of fintech especially have in terms of driving the opportunities outlook in agricultural sector and definitely helping businesses have access to finance in order for them to be able to invest in agri?
Yeah, fintech is actually digitalizing of finance, okay? Introducing technology to digitalize finance. And yes, just like in agriculture, we know that when you introduce technology, it improves the output, it improves the scalability of that particular industry or sector. And when we look at in there, I mean, the direct impact of what fintech is able to do is the fact that it's able to a large extent improve access to financial services by to a large extent this smallholder farmers. Remember in the stats I provided earlier, it says about 50% of the activities happening in the rural is actually agriculture. And you know, the issue of financial inclusion that makes activities a lot more efficient comes to the bear when you talk about access to finance in these rural areas. So when we talk about the role of fintech, fintech can actually help create, open up, you know, the agricultural value chain, and even open up the whole ecosystem. Because one of the major challenges that has been encountered in the agricultural space is access to finance. So yes, I'm of the opinion that fintech will play a significant role in improving access to finance and the whole service that is being rendered to the agricultural value chain, and therefore improving productivity.
Great. Benga, I mean, you also look at post-harvest scenarios where a lot of losses are actually incurred from the lack of storage facilities and logistics. And we know that digitalization is a way to go, especially how it has helped to disrupt, you know, the ecosystem and operational models, as the case is. Yeah. Do we not see that as an opportunity that digitalization itself can help to address, so that a lot of the post-harvest situations can actually help us to satisfy an aspect of the market in terms of when produces are not in seasons or when they're out of seasons?
Yeah, the beauty of the digital agriculture has the potential to make agriculture more productive. That basically is what it does, and making it more consistent. And you know, it's like I talked about precision farming. It uses time, and it allows you to use both time and resources more efficiently, because you've introduced technology, innovation, data that helps your decision making. And you know, this brings critical advantage, like I said, to the farmers. You know, it brings wider social benefits around the world, and it enables organizations to share information across the traditional industry boundaries, to open up, just you know, create disruptive opportunities. And like you said about post-harvest losses. So when we look at post-harvest losses, we are suffering a lot of post-harvest losses today because we have not used agriculture to make information available across the value chain. You have excess production. There's somebody else about 5,000 or 4,000 kilometers away from you who desperately needs these materials or your farm produce. If there's no platform where this exchange of ideas are happening, or this exchange of information, we'll find that we begin to suffer cyclical boom and bust of products from production, and it creates a lot of instability for the guys who are adding value to what is coming out from the farms. And remember that the only way we're able to really grow an economy that is sustainable and improve the contribution of agriculture to GDP is when we add value to what's coming out of the farm, from the farm. It's not just we selling it as a commodity, but creating an improvement. And you know, this is where, to a large extent, the value chain comes in, the agro-allied industry, improving it from its state and creating some value such that the pricing of the market is improved. That is where we begin to really reap the benefits and the value that really comes from agriculture.
Now, it's interesting you actually mentioned that, because a thought that was running through my mind has to do with price control. Because when it's out of season, in season, the price control issues becomes a major challenge. And I'm glad to know that modern technology can actually help us to stabilize prices. However, one of the questions one we ask, especially in this sector, has to do with people management or human resources management, and that has to also concern the subject of capacity. If we're obviously going to be able to create an agricultural sector that is sustainable and we can plan with, capacity development has to be in the forefront. How will digitization help us to, you know, synchronize all of this and offer lasting solutions?
You know, the agricultural space, as it is currently, is not attractive to quite a lot of talents. And the first thing is we need to improve, you know, the whole economics around the value chain, and make sure that we make it a bit more attractive. when we're still dealing with smallholder farmers, when we're still dealing with things in its rudimentary state, when we're not embracing mechanization and digitalization, we cannot have, we cannot attract the kind of talent that is needed to bring in the expertise to transform our agriculture. But of course, a lot is actually being done. We're seeing quite a lot of platforms where people are using crowdfunding to fund agriculture. We're seeing quite a lot of people embrace some technology to create an aggregation where they're able to fund land and do some primary production, and then be able to create a proper market and demand for what is coming out from those primary activities. However, these are quite small and far from in between of these initiatives and activities of course driven majorly around the private sector. We think we need to see a lot more of this to be able to attract the kind of talent and the kind of resource. And it's from the major players, from policy makers to decision makers in the agricultural value space, and to the players, even the private sector, to begin to improve our agricultural practices to attract many of our young people, our youth, to be able to bring in their skill sets into the space. However, for us to get the right talent, we also must be willing as players to begin to improve the kind of practices where you have there. I mean, no youth in his very right senses today we want to go to a farm and have hoe and cutlasses to begin to prune, where his colleagues in other places are already using greenhouse farming and using wonderful techniques and methods and drones, to do deliveries, to check things, and
absolutely.
None of them will be attracted. So once we improve the practice, we'll get the right talent into the space.
All right. I want to say a big thank you so very much, Victor Gbenga Falabi. This has been a very, very engaging session. I hope perhaps in subsequent opportunities, we send this invitation to you. Will definitely honor us as you've honored us today.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me on your program.
Great. Well, viewers, this is so much we can bring to you. Digitalization of agriculture, the economic tool for the growth of this country, as the case might be, offers us so much, so much. Please don't go away. Business Matters continues.
Business Matters. Let's talk business. Business Matters.
The digitization of agriculture offers manifold benefits. If we're able to explore data and definitely know how best we can de-risk that sector, the opportunities in terms of job creation, in terms of even the GDP's contribution of that sector would definitely be enormous. It's high time government and business players find a way for us to be able to create a sector that is definitely going to take us out of poverty. This is so much we can bring you on Business Matters. Please follow us on all our social media handles. My name remains Stephen Ipalabo Lawson. Until I come your way again. Bye-bye for now.